the double W with the get width method as we have here, because that is what is returning for us the value for the width. So we paste that here, right? So which means we no more need this method, right? Okay, so now the question is, how do we get to pass on the values for the argument for get area? So it's the same concept. We get the value for the length if you call the method what? Get length. So we put that here. We get the value for the width if you call the method what? Get width, because the method get width returns the value get width. So let's terminate this line, and then let's terminate this line also. Oops, but what is the area? Right? We will get the area if we copy this method call and then drop it all here. However, let's keep our code much simple and then readable. So what we're going to do is to create a variable double, and then we call that, let's say, rectangle rect underscore area for let's say area of the rectangle, and then we will say that when this method is called, it should pass on the length, it should pass on the width, it will perform the calculation and then return the value into the variable what? Rectangle or rect underscore area. So this is supposed to be double. Yeah. So we pass on the argument, we pass on the variable's content rect underscore area as an argument to replace what? Rect area. Okay, so now you can see that the main method doesn't have a lot of statement in it, just two lines of code. Okay, so our major focus in here is to calculate area and then to display what? The length, the width, and then the area given these respective input. All right, so let's save this code and then let's quickly explain this concept. So what is going to happen now in our code is that starting from line number 16, starting from the right side of the equation we have here, we are calling the get method. Okay, we are calling the get method. Where is the get method? So quickly it will jump off to the it will jump off to the get area method. Where is the get area method? This is the get area method. The get area method requires that the L and then the W representing the length and then the width are passed on. Okay, so which will mean in the get area method we need to pass on two arguments. Let's see. So back again on line number 16, it needs to pass on the value of the method call get length. Okay, so it will shift the control again to get length, and then in get length we are receiving the input on line number 21, and then it is stored as a string, and then we convert the string into its respective data type and then have that as what? Length. Now we return length, which means that whatever value is going to be received here and then stored in the variable length is returned and then passed on to the method call get what? Called what? Get length. Okay, so likewise there's another argument passed when the get area method is called. That is what? Get width. So the control move to the method called what? Get width. It also returns the value what? The value in the variable get width. All right, so it will mean that on line number 16 the length and then the width are what? Received. Okay, are received, and then they are passed on to the variable what? Get area. So where is the method get area? This is the method get area. So the method call for get length will pass on the result of the length into L, and then the method call for the get width will pass on its result to the variable what? W. Okay, so inside of this method the length and then the width represented in here as L and then W are multiplied and then stored in the variable what area. So over here it retains the content of the result for the calculation L times W, which is area, to the method called what, get area, and then it pass on to the variable get area. All right. What we could have done further was to simplify this code. Instead of writing it this way, we can write it in another very simple manner, but we'll come back to do that later on. So the control now shift to line number 17. We call the method what, display data, right? It is just supposed to display. So where is the method get display data? This is it. It is expecting that you pass on the input or the argument, the length, the width, and then what, the area. How do we get the length, the width, and then the area? Okay, so we go back to this. The length is by the method called get length. The width is by the get width method, and then the rect area is the result of calculating for what, the area which is received into the variable rect area. Okay, so these are passed on as argument, and then it will use that to pass on their respective content to L, W, and then what, A, and then we expect that we have created an output, a string output variable, which is supposed to contain this. Okay, because our output is going to be very long. We have put that in. We want to put that in a string, and then we pass that to the option pane, show method dialog to print that out for us. Okay, so let's try this code and see how the output is going to be. Voila. This is running a different different code. All right, so let me cancel this. It's running the very first example code that we have in there. So I will select this file from the right side here, and then where is run file? So I'll select run file. So then we are sure it is running this particular file we just created. That is if you have multiple file class files in one project. Okay, select the file in the project section and then you run it. Okay, so now this is giving us the right question to answer. Enter the length of the rectangle. So let's say that is 10. And then the width, that is also, let's say, 10. Why is this asking the question over and over again? Enter the length. Okay, enter the width. Okay, so I think I understand clearly why the program was running this way. If it is running this way, it is totally wrong. The reason is the input should be passed on once. Okay, so let's correct the logical flow sequence in here. All right, it should ask for the input once. Now ask yourself the question: why did it take the input more than once? As you can see over here that when you are calling the method get length, in here the user will have to input. Anytime we call the get methods, the user needed to input. Okay, So as many times as those methods are called, that number of times the code was going to ask for an input. All right. So in correcting that, what we're going to do is where we have the get area, okay, we call the get method, we call the get length and then get width. We can see over here too that to display we ask for the length and then the width. Okay, we're going to correct this. So then what we will do is the get length method, when it is called, because it's supposed to return a value. Now let's go look at this. It's going to return a value called width. We want to create a variable and then keep that result in it. Let's create another variable. We call it double. Let's say LL for the length, and then also we create another variable which is going to be a double, and then we call it WW, and then we get the width by the method called get width. So we can see over here there should be a D here. So this will call the method get width. Where is get width? This is get width, and that retains the value stored in the variable what get width. Okay, so we expect that it will pass on its results to the variable WW. Double is supposed to be 1B, so I take this off. All right, great. So now instead of having us to call these methods here get length and then get length in here, we will not do that, but we will instead do what? We'll pass on when the method get length is called, it passes on its result to the variable what LL. So we pass on LL over here as the length, and then which one represents the width? The result of calling the method get width is stored in the variable WW. So we'll put WW here. Okay, great. So once again, instead of get length, which we intend as us to input again, we will put LL here, and then get width, we have replaced that with what? WW. Okay, all right, great. So we have by this been able to correct the initial wrong flow of the execution of the program. So now we have passed on the method calls into some variables that the variables should contain the values anytime the methods were called. Okay, so we have two inputs, which is the get length and then the two inputs, the length and then the width, which can be received from the get length and then the get width. Okay, and then on line number 17 we are passing on those two arguments. So then when the get area method is called, it will have these two inputs which will be used for calculation. So quickly let's go see the get area method. The get area method is supposed to receive the L and then the W. So we're going to pass on, in this case, L and then W. L and W here would receive L will receive value from the variable LL, whilst W will receive its value from what? The variable WW, as we have defined on line number 17. Okay, all right, so let's save this code and then let's run it and then see how this time round it is going to turn out to be. And cancel this. This is the file we want to run, so let me select this run file, so then we are sure we are getting the response from the right file. Okay, great. So this is the first time it's asking us to enter the length. So let's say we enter 10, enter the width of the rectangle, let's say 12. Okay, great. So this time round it asks us for the input once. Why? Because the methods were called once. Okay, so the length we entered was 10, the width is 12, and then the area is calculated as the length times the width. So we have 120. That is 10 times 12, 120. I hope you have understood the concept very well. If you have any questions on this video, put all of your questions, all of your doubts in the comments panel below, and then I'll come back to answer them. If you are new to this channel, I will urge you to subscribe. That is if you love the presentation. Thank you so much.